Hey, what's up? Zach here, and today I've got my top 5 favorite orthotics and insoles for athletes. And remember, not every orthotic is good for every person, so if you want one tailored to you, then you're going to be looking toward custom orthotics. And if you're lost in the realm of what kind of custom orthotic should I get or what should I be looking for in it, I do have a comprehensive custom orthotic guide and checklist down below in the description. I'll leave a link to it. It's what I like to put in custom orthotics, my favorite builds for different athletes and foot types. All right, here we go. And coming in at number 5 is the Superfeet carbon insole. And what I like about their carbon fiber insole is it's not all carbon fiber. There is plastic in it plus carbon fiber elements. Now, what I don't like about it is it's very narrow, but if you know anything about carbon fiber, they do tend to be a little bit more lower profile. Now, what I like about it is, even though it is a smaller orthotic, it is super rigid and stable. So if you're looking for something with max stability and maximum strength in a smaller package, these are as good as it gets. These will fit into most shoes, as well as more narrow shoes, so something like soccer cleats or hockey skates. So that's why I really like these. What I don't like about them is, like I said, they are a little bit narrow, and a lot of people cannot tolerate carbon fiber. It's a little too stiff for certain people, so you kind of have to try a few out to see if they're right for you. And coming in at number 4, these are on the opposite end of the spectrum of the carbons, and that is the Footprint King Foam orthotics. Now, these come in 2 different versions. One is an actual orthotic where it actually has an arch to it, and one is literally just an insert in your shoe that is flat for shock absorption, and it kind of pushes your heel a bit forward in the shoe. And even though they kind of screwed up the foot anatomy here in the rear foot, I do like this idea where you can just get a shoe that gives a little more of a heel cup or can kind of push you a little bit forward in the shoe, because that can customize a shoe for you and give more impact protection without necessarily having to prop your arch up if you don't like that. But if you do want an insert in your shoe for actual arch support, then I would go with the standard King Foam Elite orthotic. Now, these are made of a high-grade urethane polymer, and that's how they can increase shock absorption so much, because they exchange it into heat. And what that does is, well, it's not going to make your shoe more breathable, put it that way. However, in terms of impact protection, it is really efficient. Now, they say that you can heat these up in a microwave or toaster oven and then mold it to your foot. I've found that I usually never recommend people to do that, because it can decrease the efficiency of the orthotic, and it just decreases the strength of it over and over again, plus you can burn your foot. So I found that just the regular friction that I produced in my shoe molded these to my foot well enough. And because they are so dense on the bottom, it is pretty easy to mold them with just body weight and heat from friction. But the one thing you gotta watch out for if you're gonna buy these is when you take them out of the box, they are a little bit heavy and they are really dense and soft. However, it's made of this really interesting urethane compound that when subject to impact, it actually kind of, what they say, freezes up. More just the molecules just kind of harden up together. And what that does is that creates a little bit more of a rigid shell around you. So you are getting soft impact protection because it is so dense, but also a little bit more rigid support once you're actually coming down on them. And apparently they have sold this technology to NASA and the military. So, I mean, this does have legit uses. It's just you have to get used to the weight of them and kind of the bulk they produce. And coming in at number 3, these orthotics are actually my wife's favorite, and that is the Superfeet Green. And the reason I like these is they have more of a flat heel on the bottom, so they are really stable, and the arch on them is a little bit more broad in an orthotic that's still pretty low profile, so they'll fit a lot of foot types. What I don't like about them is they are pretty flexible here under the outside of the foot and even under the inside of the foot. So in terms of an orthotic for really rigid support, they are going to start wearing down after a while. However, if you want a lighter orthotic for broad arch support, they can pretty much fit into any shoe. These are a really good pickup. And coming in at number 2, this is where things started to get really difficult, because both these orthotics in the top 2 I really like. However, coming in at number 2 is the Powerstep Pinnacle Max. Now, the reason I like the Powerstep Pinnacle Max so much is I still think that these are the best over-the-counter orthotic out there in terms of pure support. They have a really broad arch, so it fits a lot of foot types. It's also pretty stiff, but also forgiving enough that they're not uncomfortable. And the arch goes pretty far down into the midfoot, so it does capture the entire arch. The problem with the Powerstep Pinnacle Max, and the reason they don't make the top spot, just is that they can bulk up the shoe a little bit because they give so much back to your foot. However, for most shoes, especially mid or high top basketball shoes, that really isn't a problem. It's more when you get more into the low top or more tennis or even really kind of minimalist running shoes. And speaking of that profile, that brings me to the number 1 orthotic on the list, and that is the Move Game Day Pro. And like I said, between the Move Game Day Pro and the Powerstep Pinnacle, there's not much between them. Powerstep Pinnacle does have a little bit more support under it. However, the Move Game Day Pro fits better into shoes. It has a much better profile to it. The shape of them is just honestly much better than the Powerstep in my opinion. Also, because the heel on them is squared off on the bottom, they sit better in the shoe, as well as because of that shell on the bottom is engineered with such nice forgiving materials, but also it is pretty strong here under the arch. You're getting comparable arch support to the Powersteps with just a little bit easier break-in on the foot. Also, I really do like how on the bottom it does have a little bit more of a tacky material so they don't slide in your shoes even if it isn't a perfect one-to-one fit. And speaking of that one-to-one fit, you actually can get these in your standard shoe size. So typically you don't have to be cutting these down versus an insert like the Powersteps where sometimes you actually have to cut them down yourself and you can make them into wonky shapes. And so for those reasons, the Move Game Day Pro just narrowly edges out the Powerstep Pinnacle. And if you've read any of the comments section of any of my orthotic videos before, you'll know there are just a ton of brands of over-the-counter orthotics and it's impossible to try them all. However, if you have an over-the-counter orthotic brand that you would like me to try out, make sure you drop a comment in below and let me know, and hopefully in one of the next videos I can check them out. And if you want to take a deeper dive into either of these top two orthotics for yourself, make sure you click into this video up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you in the next video.